And welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwin. Now, your Thursday morning is not complete if you're not watching Entertainment Thursday. And right here on Good Morning Kenya, we get to bring you vibes after vibes every Thursday morning to make sure that you start the day in high spirits, so to speak. And for that, before we get to the entertainment aspect of the show, I want us to take a different route on the segment that is Future Voices and just look at the Kenya we want. Because we are in a very active political time right here in the country. And besides that, what kind of a country do we want to see? Because we've seen what is happening in the political landscape, alliances, political rallies happening, words being thrown around recklessly. But then again, we still have a country to build. Because when you look at elections, elections are just a moment. Campaigns are just a moment. But we have a responsibility of nation building, which is long-term. So after 2027 election is over, what kind of a country do we want to see? That is the conversation we shall be tackling today. But before we get to that, I want to take you through quickly the front pages of our local dailies, and I will start with the Standard. For how long? That is the question thrown on the front page of the Standard. In what appears to be frustration among Kenyans over the government's lack of will to tackle goons menace and the descent into lawlessness perpetrated by political leaders supporting President Ruto against his opponents, the united opposition has now turned to the International Criminal Court, demanding scrutiny of the escalating violence and possible accountability for those responsible. The opposition says the ultimate buck stops with the president, whose government has a duty to protect Kenyans and uphold the rule of law. It argues that he bears the greatest responsibility for the anarchy playing out as the country heads towards the 2027 general election. That is what is being reported on the front page of the Standard. Read the story in detail on page 4 of the same daily. On the front page of the Star newspaper, Homa Bay blood and tears, how ex-police raped and beat women. That story is told on page 6. Key funder delivered cash for mission hours before bloodbath. That story is told on page 6 of the Star newspaper. Revolt over plan by Rigathi and Kalonzo as pair seals poll deal. That story is told on page 8 of the Star newspaper. 7 tourists killed in Samburu helicopter crash. That story is displayed. The tragic photos displayed right here on the front page of the Star newspaper. Dr. Mutiso murder, a trail of bullets, land, and missing police. That story is told on page 10. Robbers held family hostage, cooked ugali and eggs before fleeing. That's quite daring. That story is told on page 2, and they actually stole 2.4 million. That story is told on page 2 of the Star newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Nation, toxic tongues. Hate mongers, that is a question that is being asked. A year to the general election, politicians have resorted to seemingly dangerous rhetoric, prompting the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to open investigations into alleged hate speech, ethnic polarization, and incitement to violence. But apart from the inflammatory statement being probed by NCIC, some leaders are openly spewing foul language, with the troubling rise in political intolerance, both in public spaces and on digital platforms, a recipe for disaster. That is a story told on page 4 of the Daily Nation. 6 tourists pilot killed in chopper crash. Read that story on page 2 of the Daily Nation. Revealing ex-lovers' nude photos, now a very costly affair. That story is told on page 17 of the Daily Nation. A third of senior school students can't read, count. 3 in 10 junior school graduates joining senior school lack essential foundational literacy and numeracy skills. And this is according to a new report. That is a story told on page 8 of the Daily Nation. Basically, that is what is captured, or that is what is being reported on the front pages of the dailies right here, and you can pick your favorite and read stories as being reported here. Coming back to our conversation now in studio, I'm joined by George Geshoki. George Geshoki is a political analyst and also an aspiring member of Parliament. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, Kenya.
How are you doing this morning?
Fine, Mike. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Yes.
Na leo hakuna baridi sana.
Leo kuko sawa.
It's not like yesterday.
Tuko sawa.
Now, let's get into conversation. We just want to look at the kind of a country we want, because we are in a very interesting political time. We are moving towards the general election in 2027, and now the conversation is becoming dominated by, familiar questions of personalities, political alliances, questions of who will win, who will lose in next year's general election. But then again, when you look at an election, it's a moment, but we have a nation to build. Are we ready to build a Kenya that we can that goes beyond 2027? That is my question.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. One, I want to begin by passing my condolences to what happened the other day in Homa Bay on Sunday, because before we even talk of the nation we want to see in future, we must also talk of things we do not want to see before we even get to that point of the future, the country we want to see. And actually, whatever happened on Sunday, it is a sad incident. So condolences to the family. And, Mike, I want to begin there because leaders, these are elected leaders. A leader having trouble accessing a place like Homa Bay. Those are elected leaders, and what we saw, this is not what we would like to see as a country. Therefore, Mike, there's a lot we need to see from our leaders, because we know there's a hand that already had planned whatever happened there. And what are kind of things we would like to see in our country? We would love to see a country where every leader, every person can move from one place to the other. A high level of security. We would love to see a country with opportunities for young people. We would love to see a country where parents can afford to take their children to school. We want to see a country where a person who is in Nakuru doing farming, they can access farm inputs at a very affordable rates. This is kind of the country we would want to see. But unfortunately, as you say, Mike, we have a country, and we have to live in this country. And we have to plan. How are we prepared to get the best from our country? And Mike, as we head into election in the course of next year,
Yes.
August,
Yes.
how are we prepared? How are our institutions prepared to handle the election? And this now brings the pertinent questions. Are we ready?
Are we ready?
Is every institution ready? Because we have seen sometimes we have seen what happened because we cannot overwrite history.
Yeah, you can.
These are some of the things we have seen before. Previously, during the post-election, the 2007 to 2008, we would not want to go back to what we saw. So are we ready? Institutions like the IEBC, is it prepared enough? Is the government ready? And I can say that, Mike, there's a lot that needs to be done.
A lot that needs to
There
be done.
is a lot that needs to be done.
That is a very important question, because that is a question on institutions. But as citizens, are we also asking ourselves the pertinent question of what kind of a country we want as citizens, in as much as there's a responsibility on politicians and leaders? Are we ready to take responsibility of driving this country in a direction that we want to see prosperity?
Yes, Mike, as I say, there is a lot that needs to be done by public and again by the leaders. Public, are we ready to, in every election there is transition. And actually whatever we've seen or whatever we've been seeing all around, we have seen, this is a campaign period, and I'm sure early next year, maybe we will see extensive campaigns and people moving from one place to another, doing campaigns looking for votes.
Yes.
And there is a duty for the members of, for the public.
Yes.
The conduct, because the role of public does not end just by going and casting the vote. They should ensure that they are at the forefront line, preaching against the evil that are happening in our society, by condemning leaders who castigate or who come and try to incite members of public. So members of public, they have a role to play as far as the elections are concerned.
And when you look, because we are looking beyond politics. We cannot escape politics, but we have a country beyond politics. Whether we are in elections or not, we have a country to run as a people. And when you look at politics, are we able to move from, our side of politics, whether I am in opposition and you are in you are even supporting government, are we able to move from our side of politics and look at issues objectively?
One, Mike, I believe democracy, having a full democracy is a process. And I know Kenya, we are in those steps. We are like a baby who is growing step by step.
Yeah.
And the campaigns, or the issue-based campaigns, that is what should be embraced in our country. But it's unfortunate because most of the times we've brought in motions and we've risen emotions during the campaign periods. We have seen the leaders, even previously. These are the times when they raise the emotions of people. And Mike, I can tell you for sure, there is no way we can have a better country when people vote as per the emotions. And that now brings us to, we should focus on doing campaigns that are issue-based.
Yes.
And when we talk of issue-based campaigns, we are looking at a leader who can bring developments, a leader who brings agenda for like now, Mike, you know, in Kenya we have around 75% of young people, and these 75%, most of them, they do not have opportunities. So when we talk of issue-based campaigns, are we seeing leaders bringing solutions with manifestos, with the agenda of the young people? Are we seeing leaders giving priority to matters pertaining to health? And it's not just about rolling out a manifesto. It also must be executed. Once you roll out a manifesto, because we have seen previous leaders promising, giving, and rolling a very good manifestos, but when it comes to execution and implementation,
Yes.
now that is where we draw the line.
Yeah.
And now we have to really look at the leaders who we want to have as our leaders of our country, or leaders who come and ask for votes.
Yeah.
And Mike, I'm not sure, you know, like when a parent, for example, is looking, wants to hire maybe a nanny at home, there are certain qualifications a parent would look for.
Yes.
Are we looking at qualifications of our leaders?
That's a very interesting aspect, because is the public scrutinizing the kind of leaders they are going to choose? That is a very interesting conversation. And I want to rope in Agogo Mkare. Thank you for making time. He is a youth advocate and also from the ODM Youth League. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Mike.
Karibu sana.
And it's a pleasure, once again to to engage with the people and of course youths at large.
Yes.
Yeah.
And today we are just looking at matters of beyond politics, the kind of Kenya we want. Because at the end of the day, campaigns and elections, they take a moment. Nation building goes beyond elections. So what kind of a Kenya do we want to see after August 2027? From where you stand, what kind of a Kenya would you want to see after that?
Well, thank you so much, Mike. The Kenya that you want to see, because today's topic, and I'm so privileged, and I'd say that I love how the conversation started, based on how my good friend have also shared some of his insights. Yes. Because when looking at the Kenya we want, we shouldn't look at Kenya based on our say ethnic group, based on our political affiliations, but as young Kenyans, and of course the Kenya that you would wish, say maybe for the generation that will come, will be proud, and they won't come and say that you guys were there before us. What is that one thing that you did that maybe that could make them feel what? Proud. Personally, I would want a Kenya that is safe for everyone, a Kenya that your last name, or maybe the name that you have, does not guarantee you, I'd say, the opportunities that you can land, or maybe the opportunity that you can get. A Kenya that I'd say leaders who are sober, not leaders who just wake up today and speak without having it in mind that whatever they say can bring this country to the dogs. And if you go back, remember that we at some point we had independence. Then from independence we had second liberation. That is around 1980s, 1990s, and then now I'd say that as a go-go, as an individual, as a youth, as a young Kenyan, I'd say that as now we are talking about the economic emancipation, yes, the economic liberation. I'd say what the famous the third liberation, because the issue-based, like kind of the issue-based and ideologies, because normally I don't condemn going to the streets, but then you see now things change, but then it reaches a point that now you have to to discuss some of these issues. You have to discuss some of these policies, and have to bring our minds and our brains together as a people, as Kenya, and as leaders, without pointing fingers to specific leaders, so that at the end of the day, as an individual, I'll come and go. Leaders come and go, but then at the end of the day, the country that we love, that is called Kenya, will remain. So I'd wish for a Kenya that is a liberated and people, leaders, and everyone at least are sober in terms of how they engage, not just engaging in a way that can burn this country.
And there's a point he raised about the public scrutinizing the kind of leaders they want to elect. Do you think we are at that position that at which we can move away from just electing leaders based on euphoria and emotions, and scrutinize exactly what they are bringing to the table?
Yeah, well, we can, because Kenyans, and by the if you're keen, Kenyans are I can say that information is all over, because we are at a point where you cannot just come with say maybe with an information, maybe as a subject matter before looking into it deeply. When you come and engage the people, there must be some some information that is guiding you, and Kenyans are informed, and that is why looking at electing leaders based on the emotion. Many times I say that if as an individual, before maybe criticizing a leader, look at this leader based on what the things that this leader has done, be it at grassroots level where we elect at grassroots and ward level where we elect our MCAs, at national level where we elect our women rep, senators and MPs. And then, of course, at county level where we also elect our governors, and then nationally where we also elect our presidents. So if he or she is an incumbent, we should elect this leader based on the projects and the things this some of the development track record that this leader has done has done. So you don't just wake up and then say that because maybe I come from a specific region, or maybe I come from a specific political affiliation. Now you start pointing fingers, but let's many times I always share, and if you follow me in my social media platforms, you'll always be keen that before criticizing and saying that this leader is not the right leader, the most noble thing to do is to argue based on data, argue based on development track record. You don't just come and start maybe lamenting, and because you hear somebody or maybe a leader X maybe saying that this leader is not right. But we should base, as we prepare towards the election, which is less than a year now, we should look at the track record for the leader, for the incumbents. But then for the leaders that are coming for the first time, let us ask them, let us engage them. What do you have for us? You see, we elected you. This is the fourth year, the third year. What have you done? What have you achieved? You see, for example, we now have a conversation around the. I'd say the best example now is the sitting president, and I'm not afraid to say this. We are technically 4 years after electing him. But then questions arise, and not only the president, even the governor, the women rep, and the senator. People will always come and ask, "What did we trusted you with our resources, yeah? And if you go there in that office, you go there as to serve us, yeah? A leader is a servant. You serve the people. What have you done? This and that. What have you achieved?" for the areas that have worked well, what can we do? Like, where can we, come together, bring our heads together, and engage so that we chart the best way forward? And by the me normally I would always say that let's give it to the president. Personally, I've been saying that I was in the streets personally, yeah, because I'm just trying to respond to your question as a Gen Z. But then I realized that most of the time we go to the streets before even reading some of these policies or some of this manifesto for some of these leaders, and then later on propaganda sells so fast. So by the time you are realizing that maybe you are in the street, or maybe you are fighting a leader, you realize when it's late that maybe the media, maybe the propaganda, the information that was shared there was just was misleading. But then if you scrutinize well, if you take your time, because informations are there. We have the media station, we have the platform, the digital platform, the spaces. We have the local radio stations that translate some of these policies and projects that have been done by key leaders. So before we come with the motion, because we're asking about the emotions and electing leaders based on the ideas and the vision of the leader, we should fast track and ensure that this leader is elected or re-elected based on what they've done. And let's give it to the president. It is the first time that I don't know, maybe for my parents or maybe my seniors, and I know my friend here will come in to count or maybe to support, but it is, for me personally, it is for the first time I've seen the president come in the public to engage the citizens in the nation. And those are some of the things that we should look at before castigating. So at the end of the day, Kenya is a democratic country. Kenya being a democratic country, everyone has a way of reasoning and just pointing out at key activities that someone has done or maybe a leader has done. But let us accept and where something has been done right and say that these are the areas that have worked, these are the areas that have not worked, the policies that need to be looked into. If youth have to be involved, at what point? If Mwananchi have to be involved, at what point? If children, I've seen children, the likes of Baraka, Blessings Baraka, I think so, they are pushing for children to be involved in some of these policies. And just ensuring that they be part of the conversation in shaping the narrative of the Kenya that we want, because that was the topic, and that was a good topic, by the way, Mike, because the Kenya that we want, we cannot look at it based on our political affiliation, but as an individual, as a person, because sooner or later I'm not yet married because of because of the tough economy, or maybe because of how things are tight. But I'm still pushing forward, because it is everyone's responsibility. It is everyone's responsibility, Mike, and everyone has to be involved. Everyone has to be involved, because when we start pointing fingers, that is now where we get it wrong. And it is so unfortunate to find leaders pointing fingers at each other instead of providing solutions to the aspect of issue-based politics is something that we hear every now and then, but when it comes to the practicality of it, something changes. We are going to scrutinize that when we come back from this short break. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. Right here on Good Morning Kenya, you are watching Future Voices. We are looking at matters of beyond politics, the kind of Kenya we want, because elections and campaigns come and go. We have a responsibility as a citizen of this country to continue building the country even after elections. So, but before we get to that point, what build-up should we see? And the issue of issue-based politics has come up from my guest here, and George was the first one to raise that issue, because we keep seeing politicians speak about matters. We are going to gravitate towards issue-based politics. We are not going to do politics of personalities. But then again, vitu kwa ground zinakuwa different. My question to you, George, is can politicians strongly disagree on policy, which is allowed, but then again, can they disagree on policy without portraying others as enemies of the state of progress?
Yes, Mike, and first I want to My friend here, Agogo, there are some compliments he's making. And, you know, we need to, every information should be backed by data. And we are out on the streets here, Mike, and we listen to what people are saying. And when we are talking about the growth of an economy, there are pointers which probably would tell us that a certain leader is doing very well. And these are pointers like focusing on issues like health. Are we, the members of public, accessing health care affordably at affordable cost? Are they accessing education at affordable cost? But Mike, when we are reasoning to people here, out here, and you know, I know he's young, he can attest to that. Young people are crying out there day and night. Without, they do not have opportunities. Mike, to my surprise, the other day I was talking to a person and he was telling me that nowadays the antidepressant shops, they are handing out because people are depressed. They are suffering from depression. And now that brings me back to what my friend here is saying. You know, when a leader is elected in an office, we shall judge that leader as per what he has delivered to the people. And allow me to maybe focus on the leaders who we elected into office. My friend here says that the current government is working, but the statistics and the data out there, because every information we have and we must back it with the data. You know, Mike, you don't have to come to to public and try to convince people that a certain system is working. It should be the other way around. People are out there praising, talking on how certain functions are working. And Mike, now this brings me to the, are we really honest on the deliverables and the promises we are making to our people? Are we able to go beyond our promises, the promises we make to our people? Or are we just making promises so that we can reap votes from them? And Mike, you know, other than the pointers, or there are things that would tell us if an economy is working. Things like the purchasing power. Are we seeing, are people having purchasing power out there? The taxation. How are people feeling towards the taxes? And we are saying, Mike, there is nothing wrong with paying taxes. We are patriotic Kenyans and we should pay taxes. But Mike, how are we feeling? There's too much pressure and people are telling us there.
Yeah, but that, be that as it may, it deviates a little bit. It deviates from the question I did ask about politicians disagreeing strongly on policy without painting political opponents as enemies of the country. Are we able to achieve that?
Mike, we are slowly moving towards having a full democracy, like maybe United States, but it might take us years, and there is a big duty for our leaders. And I believe, Mike, we can, and leaders can agree. They can differ on ideologies, but we can make, or we can do issue-based politics, and we can agree that as a country, we need good education. Mike, we all agree that every child, it is the right of every child to access education. All leaders, we agree that every children should access education. We can agree, Mike, that we are not happy when we see young people out there using drugs because there are no opportunities. We can agree as leaders, Mike, we can agree that we need our economy to rise, to grow, so that we are able to pay taxes. So we agree on all those things, Mike. But where the problem comes is who should head where? And now that brings us, can we embrace the politics of issue-based rather than the politics of tribalism? And this can be done by what we are saying, looking at the track records. Like Mike, there is no way a person who is elected should come and tell us he's seeking an re-election, but the track record speaks otherwise.
Yeah.
Like Mike, the area I'm seeking to represent, for example, we have so many unexploited potentials. Like a constituency, I can say we have a lot of potential and a lot of resources, institutions, Kahawa Barracks, Kenyatta Referral Hospital, Community Prison. But are we, our leaders, making use of these resources? Are we seeing leaders with great and bright vision on how our people can access those institutions, on how we can ease the burden?
Very pertinent questions, because they point to how maybe things ought to have been done. But Agogo, do you think, can we disagree strongly on matters that pertain to national development issues without painting each other, political opponents, as enemies of the country or enemies of national development?
Well, thank you, Mike. And I think before even responding to that, my good friend George, I think it's just good to rectify him and tell him that I haven't said, and you see, he seems to be misquoting me. I haven't said that the current regime is functioning well, or maybe working, or just something. I was specific, and I said that. I was just giving example, and when you're giving example, it is good to start with at the top, and the top here means the president. And the perfect example I was giving is that, and maybe he can just decide not to accept, but personally, I have never seen a president going to the public and engaging through public participation. Mike, what led to Gen Z's uproar in 2024 was lack of involvement, or rather lack of public participation, or rather just coming with policies and saying that we want it to be done this way without engaging. You see, so when an incumbent, when a sitting president, and by the way, it could have been the best thing to do for other leaders also, the sitting governors or maybe women reps, these other leaders going up to the MCA's level to also engage with their electorates if they really want to be re-elected. Because when you go to the public and engage the public and share with them the policies and the work that you've done, it creates that public confidence. And number two, when we also came here, Mike, and you'll correct me in this, we came to discuss the Kenya we want. The Kenya that baby Adrian Gweth, remember when at KCC, when the conversation around Beyond 2030 was being launched, the 7-year-old child who came, and in the next 30 years, say from now, this baby will be 41 years. So we don't want a scenario where at that time, 30 years from now, we'll be looking back and saying that, George, you are, by that time, you will even be a member of parliament or maybe a president, who knows. What at that point, what is that one thing that you did that you can point that at least transform this nation? Because when we start pointing fingers, then we will not get it right. So, Mike, if you allow me to also just also share something, when we were at KCC the other time, I remember Professor Hino, and you see the conversation that the Kenya we want, the conversation starts here, then now implementation as we move forward. The key brains behind the Innovation 2030. So he spoke, and after his speech, and then the ODM party leader, Dr. Buru Ginga, came and during his speech, and he was so intentional. He said that we should call a spade a spade. The problem that we are facing as a country and as a nation, because when you speak of Singapore, and Dr. Buru said it, that when you speak about Singapore, we need to deal with corruption. And if you cannot deal with corruption fully, then at least partially, so that that is the main problem. And the other guest also, because questions were coming in, and if you are keen about the conversation around the Kenya we want, two issues that came that was discussed and appears to be the main obstacle or stumbling block towards the development of a nation, or rather the economic emancipation and the liberation that we want, is that corruption becomes number one, and then number two, the electioneering, that presidents or maybe leaders comes elected, and then now they work preparing for the next election, or maybe once they're elected, they start preparing for the next elections. So if we can ensure that we look at them based on that, so that we ensure that some of these conversations are looked into critically and not through emotion, so that we can solve some of the challenges and
very important, because as citizens, there's a question here, because we keep demanding accountability from leaders, but in retrospect, as citizens, do we take responsibility? Are we ready to condemn bad leadership, bad policies, regardless of the kind of politician or the leader that is there, whether he belongs to your faction or he does not belong to your faction? Are we ready to do that as a citizen?
Yes, Mike, we are ready, and every leader should be held accountable for his action. I think in Kenya we have a problem. We have a long way to go, because previously we have seen leaders who are in office, public office, and there is a certain thing that didn't work in the office. And instead of them coming and owning, Mike, there has been a problem all along. I can't remember, or you can just correct me, where we saw any leader who made a certain mistake in office and outrightly come and agree and take responsibility. But in Kenya, we have seen leaders even chest thumping and saying they cannot resign over their dead bodies. So we are saying we should hold all leaders, regardless of the position, regardless of where they come from, the tribe.
What about the citizens themselves? Are they able to call it out, regardless of the political affiliations they have? Because we have a problem. We have seen a trend sometimes where a mistake is done at a leadership level, but then again you see citizens taking sides.
When we are focusing on the main fundamentals of an economy or a country, we are talking about the issues of health, education, and probably the economy. So when one messes with the system, it doesn't affect a certain tribe. It affects and cuts across. So it is the duty of members of public to come out outright and condemn and hold the leaders accountable and condemn the incidences regarding whether a certain leader comes from maybe my own tribe. And actually, Mike, the issue of tribe in Kenya, it has been a thorny issue. And the country, or the Kenya we would want to see in future, we would want to see a Kenya whereby I don't want to know the leader who we are electing into the public office, whether he comes from any tribe. We are looking to those times, and we know we are heading there, Mike, but leaders should be at the forefront line, condemning the issues of this is our own man, our own person who has done this. So defending, there is no need. Because at the end of the day, Mike, we need our systems to function. We need health sector to function. We need education to function. We need our economy to rise and grow. So that will not happen when at the back we are having our own men behind our back. So we need Mike to come out and embrace everyone, and we embrace all.
We embrace
regardless
all.
Of
and Gogo, if we take personalities and political parties from this conversation of the kind of a country we want, what then? What should be the outcomes that we should expect now, going into 2027 and beyond?
If you decide to view politics based on personalities?
If we take personalities away, matters of political parties away, what kind of a conversation now should we have regarding the kind of a country we want to see post 2027?
You know, politics of personalities is where we find it wrong. And you remember that as my opening remarks earlier was that we shouldn't, view our politics based on maybe specific leaders or maybe, an individual. You can only refer based on, where it's necessary.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, we still have, say, our political, idols that we admire. You'll find a young, leader, speaking based on a former, or maybe a leader that, inspired them, right? So it's something that if you feel that a leader maybe inspires you in one way or the other, then that one you can look into. But then if based on how we would want our country to be, how we want Kenya to be, we shouldn't view our politics on that way. We should view our politics and our governance system based on the policies, based on ideas. It should be an idea based, because things are revolving and politics is revolving. Looking at where our country started from independence to to the second liberation, and as at now we are talking of the third the third liberation, which is the economic liberation, and the so-called the third wave, the third wave economic liberation. So at this point it's all about the ideas, and that's why as young people, because we have so talented and gifted youths outside here, if you can face our politics based on what we can offer under the ideas, because I remember very well when the conversation around the artificial intelligence, the technology, we are in the technological era, an era where my friend was having a conversation with a friend, and it was like, as at now, if you were to even engage your mom or maybe your grandma back in the village, they will not ask about maybe sugar or something. Majority will ask, hey, I need airtime, I need data, I need data bundles. So those are the conversations. And also we cannot influence. By the way, normally I always say that we cannot influence policies or issues when you are not in the position, or maybe the corridors where these conversations are being made. For heaven's sake, when we look at, say, maybe just randomly picking, when you look at health, for example, we have a health system that was always an issue for anyone to even engage in the hospital when they're unwell. But at least now we have policies like the SHA, and those are the things that we should be looking at. What has not happened? What is not working? And if it is not working, at what point should we engage so that we strengthen some of these issues or policies that are currently being used by the current regime?
Very important. We have less than a minute. I'll give you each 30 seconds to describe what you want to see Kenya going forward.
Yes, Mike, we would want to see industrialization taking place. And now, because we began by agrarian revolution, we came to industrialization, we need to see the government embracing entrepreneur revolution, whereby we shall create opportunities for our young people, because the number of young people, it's rising each and every year. Yeah. Mike, we normally have around close to 1 million transition students or students coming from or graduating from tertiary institution, and now they are coming out to seek jobs. Mike, we need to really think as a country if we are to talk about vision beyond. And again, Mike, we shall not build our country through speeches. We shall build our countries on action.
Very important point to close on. Agogo.
As I conclude, Mike, I'll just conclude based on two areas. The second liberation that was in 1980s and 1990s opened the democratic space that we enjoy today. And the third liberation now is the economic liberation, and we have to appreciate that. The third liberation is about the idea. The third liberation is about policy, issue-based. And that is why most of the time, if you listen to Dr. Buro Ginga, he would always say that tunataka power. We want power means that we want to to influence some of these ideas. We want to influence some of these developments and projects that can help this country grow up to the level that we want it beyond 2030. So as we speak around beyond 2030, let us stop pointing fingers. Let us offer solutions. If you're in such opportunity and spaces, be it an elected leader, be it a young person, let us view our politics based on the ideas and accept where a leader has done. If you feel a leader has done something right, you have all the right to support. If you don't agree, the democracy allows you object. But if you object constructively. Where the president has done well, let us appreciate. Where he has not done well, the opportunity is there to go and offer a solution, but not just objecting for the sake of objecting it.
Offer solutions. Very perfect point to close on. And the kind of a country we want a prosperous country beyond 2027. Gentlemen, I thank you so much for making time to just come and give insights as to the kind of a country and the kind of politics we want to do in the country as we approach 2027. My name is Mike Migu. This is where this conversation ends. Entertainment Thursday starts right about now. Stay with us.